Good evening. It's your boy Big D. This is another edition of In Relation to Both Teams. The second edition. If you haven't seen the first edition, go check it out. In the first In Relation to Both Teams, it was when we were facing the Kansas City Chiefs week 2. We ultimately didn't win. I was talking about former Eagles and current Chiefs head coach Andy Reid and those 14 years of never winning the big one. And basically, in my opinion, I don't give a shit what anybody says. The two times we fucked it up with Reid was when we made him the executive vice president of football operations. So basically what that means is he was the de facto general manager. So when it came down to draft, free agent, depth chart, well, I think coaches generally control that part. But, I mean, managerial decisions, Andy Reid basically had the final say. And Andy Reid's final say often went against logical thinking or the fans' wishes. Of course, the fans aren't going to know everything, but you know what I mean. And when we gave Marty Mornhinweg control of the offense, which is when our offense went to shit. It had some good years, but in the end, it ultimately cost us. But that was last week. This week, it'll be about a history between us and the Chargers. Well, they were the San Diego Chargers at the time. The point in history I want to talk about is, I hope I don't piss too many people off when I say this, but it's going to be something not many of you will remember, and some people may choose to forget. So, if this offends you, exit out the vid right now. It was back in 1998. It was the last year of Ray Rhodes' coaching career. 1998, you probably know where I'm going with this. Versus the Chargers, you probably know where I'm going with this. Yeah, we got beat by Ryan fucking Leaf. You know, Ryan Leaf, arguably considered the biggest draft bust of all time. If you don't know who Ryan Leaf is, I'll tell you. He was a quarterback that was drafted by the San Diego Chargers right after Peyton Manning, and he was actually considered better than Peyton Manning at one point. And they were saying leading up to the draft that the reason teams would have rather taken Peyton Manning than Leaf, despite some guys thinking that Leaf was better, was they asked each one of them the question, what would you do if you became the first round of the draft? If you got the first pick? Peyton Manning said, I'm just going to study hard, I'm going to train hard, and I'm going to put my best foot forward and do what I can to contribute to this team. And here's what Ryan Leaf said. Ryan Leaf said, I'm going straight to fucking Vegas. And right there, teams are like, nah, I'd rather take Peyton. Though, the Colts took Peyton Manning in the first round. The Chargers traded up to the second round, and they got Ryan Leaf. Leaf looked good early on when he won his first 2 games, and then when he went against the Chiefs, he just looked like shit, and he had a certain outburst where he just went off on a reporter. And he apologized for it later on, but crumpled the note. It was all written down. He didn't really mean a thing he said. But after that, it was Week 7 of 1998, October 18th, at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. It was the Philadelphia Eagles against the San Diego Chargers. We were 1-5. They were 2-4. So it was basically an evenly matched. I'm going to give you the stats of the game and the stats of the game and the final score. Our starting quarterback was Rodney Peete, and Leaf was starting for them. Rodney Peete completed 22 passes off 39 attempts, 232 touchdowns, was picked off twice, was sacked 5 times for a total of 22 yards, and he had a quarterback rating of 52.5. Ugh. He just looked like shit. Rodney Peete was just fucking garbage that game. Deuce Staley, he rushed 14 times for 41 yards, including a 12-yarder, was targeted 3 times, and caught all of his passes. And Charlie Garner scored the team's only touchdown. 9 attempts, 8 yards, and including a 12-yarder. So he must have gotten some negative yards in that game too. He was targeted 3 times, caught all of his passes for 18 yards. Irving Fryer, he was targeted 8 times, only caught half his passes for 44 yards. Jeff Graham was targeted 8 times, only caught 3 of his passes for 42 yards. So receivers were dropping passes. Ryan Leaf, he completed 9 passes off 19 attempts for 83 yards. He was sacked 6 times for a total of 55 yards, and his quarterback rating was 59.8. Natrone Means, he attempted 21 times for 112 yards and a touchdown, including a 21-yard run. He was targeted 4 times, caught 2 passes for 7 yards total. Charlie Jones rushed once, got 13 yards. Brian Still was targeted 4 times, caught 3 passes for 28 yards. Michael Ricks was targeted 4 times, caught 1 pass for 11 yards. And Freddie Jones caught 5 passes. No, he was targeted 5 times, caught 1 pass for 10 yards. So there wasn't much for the passing game there. And the final score ended up being 13-10 Chargers. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing that we're one of the teams that Ryan Leaf beat in his pathetic career. Though, I did say we got beat by Ryan Leaf, but looking at these stats, they mainly beat us in the running game. Oh, let's get to defense. I haven't talked about defense. Hugh Douglas sacked Ryan Leaf four times, including a half a sack. The other half was Hollis Thomas. William Thomas got a sack. Norman Hand, he picked off Pete once for 17 yards, and Charles Dimry picked him off the other time. Rayleigh Johnson sacked Pete twice. Chris Mims got half a sack. The other half was by Junior Seau, may he rest in peace, and John Perella sacked him once. It's so long ago, so I don't think you may not know who many of these players are. I don't really know who these players are. I'm just looking at the stats off Pro Football Reference. Pro Football Reference is generally the site I generally go to for stats if I need to discuss them or anything. I try to use NFL.com, but NFL.com's site is fucking garbage, in my opinion. So yeah, we're one of the teams that lost to Ryan Leaf, but that's okay because we got a victory. We got our win back versus him when Ryan Leaf was in a Cowboys uniform. Poetic justice. It was at Texas Stadium. It was November 18th, so it was 3 years and a month later to be exact, and it was a 1:00 game. The stats of that game: we had Donovan McNabb. There was no Bobby Hoying. There was no Rodney Peete. Those guys were gone. This was the early years of McNabb. McNabb completed 16 passes all 32 attempts, 129 yards, a touchdown. He did throw a pick. And he had a quarterback rating of 57.9. He attempted 4 times for 24 yards, including a 14-yarder. Deuce Staley rushed 26 times for 102 yards, including an 18-yard run. He was targeted 5 times, caught 4 passes for 31 yards, including a 14-yard catch. Todd Pinkston was targeted 5 times, caught 2 passes for 30 yards. Chad Lewis was targeted 6 times, caught 3 passes, including an 18-yard catch and a touchdown. No. 18 yards and including an 8-yard catch and a touchdown. James Thrash was targeted 7 times, caught 2 passes, 17 yards. And one-year wonder Freddie Mitchell was targeted 4 times, caught 2 passes for 15 yards. Yeah, these fucking receivers that McNabb had early in his career, and that again goes back to Andy Reid getting total control of the team. Reggie Wayne was fucking there. We had him, and we went with Freddie Mitchell. Yeah, thanks a lot, Andy Reid. No. Thanks a lot, Jeffrey Lurie, for making such a dumbass move. But there ain't shit we can do to change that. Ryan Leaf, he looked even worse. He completed 11 passes off 26 attempts, 102 yards, picked off twice, sacked 3 times for 21 total yards, and his quarterback rating was 21.6. Ugh. God, he looked fucking garbage. Of course, because he's one of the biggest busts of all time. Emmitt Smith doesn't look quite like Emmitt Smith anymore at the time. He attempted 15 times, 80 yards, including a 27-yarder. He was targeted twice and caught both of his passes for a total of 10 yards. Joey Galloway, he was targeted 5 times, caught 2 passes. Rocket Ismail, which is a weird name, was targeted 8 times, caught 5 passes for 57 yards. And on the defense, the only guy that really did anything for the Cowboys was Darren Woodson. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame. If he's not, he should be, because that dude was a legend. He was McNabb's interception, and on Philly's defense, Jeremiah Trotter got an interception, and William Hampton got an interception. Both pick sixes. So both of Ryan Leaf's interceptions were pick sixes, including William Hampton's was 33 yards, and Jeremiah Trotter was 50 yards. Troy Vincent got a sack and a half, and Corey Simon got the other sack, and Derek Burgess got a sack. Should have kept Derek Burgess instead of trying to trade up to get Jerome McDougal. Another boo-boo by Andy Reid. Derek Burgess went on to have a Pro Bowl career for a short time in Oakland. Yep, so there you have it. The event that relates to both the Eagles and the Chargers was the time that we lost to Ryan fucking Leaf. Though we did beat Ryan Leaf in a rematch. We did get a rematch with him when he played in a Cowboys uniform, so that was nice. Anyway, that'll be it for today. For tonight, like the vid, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more. Catch y'all later. Let's go Eagles.